HD DVD. The look and sound of perfect.
Here we have the Xbox 360 HD DVD player.
This thing was a relic of an abandoned and obsolete format. It was an attachment to the 360 that allowed you to play HD DVD disc.
At the time, this would have ran you upwards of $200 USD, on top of the $400 cost of the 360 itself.
The question is, why did this product and HD DVD as a whole fail?
But for that, we'll need some better context. HD DVD was the successor to the DVD format developed by Toshiba that was
instrumental
in ushering in high-definition home video circa 2006. These discs were able to store 10 more gigs of data than DVD at max, and thanks to this, and the use of blue laser technology, was successful in providing a much clearer and higher resolution image than any previous format. Of course, there is the elephant in the room. Only 3 months after the launch of HD DVD comes Blu-ray by Sony, which offered even 10 more gigs of storage and used the same blue laser tech as HD DVD, and so, competition. It's important to mention this now because everything that we mention about HD DVD will be relative to what Blu-ray accomplished as a format. HD DVD initially had the backing of studios like Warner Brothers and Paramount, which would release their films across most of the format's lifespan, while Blu-ray had the support of Disney, MGM, and themselves. Now, HD DVD actually had a great advantage at launch. Their players were retailed at roughly between $500 to $800 USD, with the first Blu-ray player launching at $1,000. With a lower-end HD DVD player being half the price of Blu-ray at launch, and DVD already being a household name, any betting man would say, HD DVD's got this. However, much like how the PlayStation 1 doubled as a gaming console and CD player hybrid, and the PlayStation 2 being the primary DVD player for many, the PlayStation 3 also came with a built-in Blu-ray player. Meaning, unlike with HD DVD on 360, you didn't have to buy this separate $200 peripheral just to play HD home video. It plays Sony's own Blu-ray disc out of the box. There were standalone players that you could buy, of course. You didn't need this 360 player to watch HD DVD in the same way that you didn't need to own a PlayStation 3 to watch Blu-ray. But anyone wanting to get the most bang for their buck, Blu-ray was the format. So what you had between the years of 06 and 08 were warring factions of red versus blue cases on store shelves. This very easily led to some confusion from the consumer, and once video rental stores like Blockbuster dropped support for HD DVD in favor of Blu-ray, the decision between the two became increasingly obvious. Netflix dropped support as well, if you can remember a time when Netflix was getting one of these in the mail. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. In early 2008, Toshiba announces the cease of development of any further releases, and come March, just 2 days short of the 2-year anniversary of HD DVD, the format is officially obsolete. Their catalog of films ended just short of 500 titles, 91 of them exclusive, and it should be made clear, just because HD DVD didn't survive the format wars, doesn't mean that we didn't get a lot of great releases, great special releases, and that it didn't have its loyal adopters. For many 360 users who spent the additional $200 for the player attachment, you almost kind of needed to justify your purchase if you never planned on springing for the 360 or for a standalone Blu-ray player. And it seems like this is the path that most people took at launch. Toshiba released reports in 2006 stating that roughly 30,000 more Xbox 360 HD DVD players sold over their standalone players, which is why we wanted it to be the vehicle for our foray into HD DVD.
The form of the HD DVD player just looks like a tiny Xbox.
Yeah, it looks like if you shrunk down an Xbox 360.
It has all the same curvatures and the same kind of disk drive as a regular 360,
And the way that you're supposed to set this thing up is ideally you want the 360 on its side, and then you want the player on top of that. And it looks fine. It looks like these two parts belong together. But it takes up so much real estate in any entertainment center.
It does, and it increases the amount of wires that you need. So you would need the
exactly.
power cord for the Xbox, power cord for the HD DVD player, a mini USB between them,
right.
The Wi-Fi adapter, you know what I mean? It just really, I don't know, compared to a PS3, all you need is a power cord and an HDMI.
Right, and if we put those side by side, the PlayStation 3 looks like just one unit. It takes up space, but not nearly as much as the 360 and player combo. So how do you install the player?
So you have the USB port on the back of the Xbox, right? That is usually where the Wi-Fi adapter would go. You would unplug that and then plug in the USB from the HD DVD player to that, and then the back of the HD DVD player has a spot for your Wi-Fi adapter. You can daisy chain it through the
Right.
player itself.
So you're not having to sacrifice watching an HD DVD versus having internet. The last thing you want to do is plug in the power cord. Once you turn on the console, you'll navigate to the dashboard. The one that we have, the NXC dashboard, it actually creates a new icon on the screen. But on the newest dashboards, you actually have to scroll over to a media player, and it's hidden in like a sub-menu. The player also came bundled with a proprietary remote. It actually has personality to it. It feels like it's part of the Xbox brand.
And it has the same Xbox design. It has the curved sides, and
Right.
it has like the green interface on the front of it.
That like weird, funky futurism thing there.
Yeah, and it uses infrared. Since the 360 already had an infrared sensor right out of the gate, it was an obvious choice whenever designing the remote.
And it has this big Xbox logo as like the
Yeah,
home
so
button.
you can get to the main menu.
Yeah, it's so funny. And all of the navigation buttons are the X, Y, A, B buttons on the 360 controller.
Now with the HD DVD player ready to go, all we needed was a 360 console to watch our movies. I wanted the most authentic
experience
possible, so I went with an Xbox 360 Arcade Edition, which, unlike the core model before it, was capable of HD video out. Unfortunately, this particular 360 had red ring, so it needed to be restored before we could start our HD DVD marathon. For anyone interested, we've included a supercut of the restoration at the end of the video for the sake of keeping this video concise and focused. So we just got done watching all the HD DVD movies.
Right, and it was a super inconsistent experience. Like, most of these worked. We watched U-571, that one worked perfectly. We watched Transformers, aside from maybe a blink or two, it was perfectly fine. And we were able to watch King Kong, which I was very happy about because it was kind of like a benchmark for HD DVD, given that this was packaged with the 360 HD DVD
Yeah,
players.
and it was like the big blockbuster at the time. You know?
Right.
But we did have some problems watching The Reaping and Blade Runner. A lot of the scenes were skipping around. We had a lot of screen tearing. The audio would come in and out, you know?
We were worried that it was an issue with the Xbox we were using, so we actually did use a newer model Xbox. And what was weird about that is these movies still had issues, but it was in different spots. Scenes that we weren't able to watch because of stuttering on this Xbox, we were able to watch on this one. But then later scenes would stutter. And I'm not sure if that means anything. I'm sure if you played the disc enough time on either Xbox, they would all skip in different parts anyways.
Yeah.
You know?
We actually did look into it. Both The Reaping and Blade Runner have what they call laser rotting.
Right.
When like the layers of the disc were starting to degrade or kind of like rot away, you know?
And they literally separate to where like the laser can no longer register on the disc. And apparently this is an issue with specifically Warner Brothers disc.
Yeah.
And what was crazy is that at the time Warner Brothers had pulled out of HD DVD. They had just lost faith in the format. And they were actually offering on a website called Red to Blue, where you could just, show some sort of proof of purchase that you bought an HD DVD, send it to them, and then they would send you back a Blu-ray copy, which is pretty
Interesting.
nutty.
Yeah.
Laser rot or disc rot or whatever you want to call what's happening to these discs, that's not something that's supposed to happen so soon. Like these discs were made in like 2008, it's 2023, and they're already dying on us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of unheard of. And it has to do with how cheaply the discs were made. I mean, that's really like the only
That's pretty
explanation.
much what it comes down to, yeah.
So relative to watching these movies on Blu-ray, because we did go back and we watched select scenes from King Kong on Blu-ray, how was it to you? How was the experience
It was about the same.
Right. It was the same for me too. I feel like you would only really tell like a difference in
resolution
side by side watching these movies.
Yeah, and if you were watching like a newer updated version of the movie, like on a newer disc or on 4K or something.
Well, 4K is like a huge leap from like what are these discs, like 1080? Right.
Probably 1080.
1080. So overall, pretty unique experience going back and looking at a format that neither of us really grew up with. We just thought was interesting,
Yeah, can't imagine like dumping all this money into the format and then getting the disc and it not working. You know?
Toshiba just straight up going ghost on you and then just dropping the format like that. And then going back on your collection and like a third of them probably don't even work anymore.
Yeah, for real.
It's kind of sad. There was a lot of potential with this format, especially with DVD kind of being like this household name. I would say probably at the time, I probably would have gone with HD DVD over Blu-ray just because of that familiarity with the brand.
Yeah.
But at that time, HD video was kind of like this luxury kind of thing. It wasn't a given.
Yeah, it was like the next generation of like
Right.
movie watching at home,
Yeah, but the normal standard was still like DVD in like most households. So by the time people began adopting HD home video in their houses, Blu-ray had already won the war, essentially.
Yeah.
Especially with Netflix dropping HD DVD
and studios backing
and
out.
studios
and all that.
backing out. So
I think that's pretty much it.
yeah, I don't have anything left to say if you don't.
No.
Oh yeah, one more thing.
Woo! My apology video. So I noticed right after I put everything back together, this heatsink was put on sideways. All of these fins were facing the wrong way, so I took it back off and put it back on, and got both of the X clamps back on. So now it's ready to be put back together. I turn it back over and the whole thing is destroyed. Now we can test it. Okay, so now we're gonna try to turn it on. There it is. Alright, it works.